What is Rassie Rasmus's strongest possible Springbok 23 to take on the All Blacks at Eden Park? That is the question for today. I apologize for a little bit of the lighting. I'm actually currently sitting in a meeting room in Singapore on my way to New Zealand. We flew last night. We have now a 6-hour layover, and then we get into Auckland tomorrow morning early on Wednesday. I'm looking so forward to this trip. This is one of my dream trips that I've wanted to do, is watch the Springboks in New Zealand. So it's only possible because you guys watch, and thank you so much for everyone that's subscribed, that's watched, that's liked, that's commented. You guys are the reason that I get to do these cool things, and I'll never forget that, and I really, really appreciate that. In saying that, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to New Zealand to try and show you what rugby is like in New Zealand. I really want to take you behind the curtain, interview as many players as I can, as many content creators there I want to collaborate with, and there's some really cool things in the works. So hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and drop your opinions on this team down in the comments. Now, let's get into it, because I think one thing I do need to say is that this is my best possible 23 that I think Rassie should be playing against the All Blacks. Both sides are coming off losses, one against Argentina for New Zealand away from home, and then obviously as Springbok fans, we know that one that we lost to Australia. So I think there's a lot riding on this game at Eden Park. It's 1 versus 2 in the world. The Springboks aren't number 1. We're going to Eden Park, New Zealand's fortress, 50 games unbeaten there. We haven't won there in absolute decades. So there's a lot riding on this game, and I think Rassie Rasmus is going to put out a very experienced side to go and win there. There's going to be no experimentation. I think he's going there to try and win it, and to try and make a little bit of a statement in the Rugby Championship. So let's get into the front row. Now, I've gone with Oxenchair, Malcolm Marx, and Volkolo for obvious reasons. Ox and Volko are going to get us scrum penalties, and that's going to allow us to move forward up the pitch. They're also very good ball carriers. Yes, Volkolo maybe not as such a good ball carrier as Oxenchair, but I do think they just need to come on for 50 minutes, dominate that scrum, dominate set piece, and allow us to win penalties so that our fly-off can kick 3 points that can get us up the field. Malcolm Marx, I think, is the obvious pick because he's probably been the most in-form hooker. I think Bongi and Marnus van der Merwe are really battling for that number 2 position. And I do think Malcolm Marx is our best hooker at the moment. You've got a guy like Jan-Hendrik Wessels that could also play hooker, but I just think Malcolm Marx is one or 2 or 3 steps ahead of him. Then into the lock position. Now, there's multiple scenarios that you could go with. We saw Archie Snyman and Ruan Nokia take the pitch last week. We've seen Eben Etzebeth and Loet de Jager take the pitch. But I think this is our best lock combination. Eben Etzebeth at 4 and Ruan Nokia at 5. And I'll tell you why. Eben, I mean, he's always going to have that 4 jersey. And I think when he wants to give it up, that's when he's going to retire. And that's when someone else can sort of step up into that role. But I think, although he hasn't been great so far this season, he is our most experienced Springbok ever. There's a reason for that. And I think in big games, Eben Etzebeth delivers. On Ruan Nokia, I think he's probably been one of the most informed players for the Springboks over the last 12 months. When Ruan Nokia is on the pitch, we hardly ever lose lineouts. He's a very good lineout caller, and I think he just provides some cool, calm-headedness in that pack. So I think Eben and Ruan Nokia is probably the starting lock combination. Then we move over into the loose trio. Now this is a very interesting one because Kobus Visser has been placed on standby, which means that he isn't eligible to be picked for these test matches. He's not even going to come to New Zealand. We've got Jasper Visser on the team sheet, but he's banned for this test match still at Eden Park, so he's not available, which means that our number 8 stock is quite low. We basically only have Jean-Luc Depree, who's an out-and-out 8. Maybe Franco Morsed could slot in there, but I think what Rassie Rasmus is going to go for is Marco van Staden at 6, Peter Steph de Toy at 7, and then Sia Khaleesi at 8. We've seen Sia play 8 for the Sharks. We saw Rassie Rasmus experiment with him against Australia in that number 8 jersey, and Marco van Staden has been phenomenal over the last 2 games. I think probably one of the standout players over the last 2 games has been Marco van Staden. And with our issues at breakdown, I do think Marco van Staden provides a little bit more in that number 6 role than Sia Khaleesi would, and then having Jean-Luc Depree in that 8 role. So I think that's probably our best combination for the loose trio. And if you look at that forward pack, it's absolutely stacked. I mean, Ox, Malcolm, Volko, massive at scrum time. Eben Etzebeth is a presence. Ruan Nokia is going to be very, very good at line-out time. And then you've got Peter Steph de Toy, Sia Khaleesi, who've been there, done it, and then Marco van Staden, who's in some really, really good form. So I think that's a solid pack. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Then moving into the back line. And I've gone quite conservative here. Like I said in the intro, I don't think Rassie Erasmus is going to experiment with an Ethan Hooker or a Kane and Moody. I think he's really going to go back to what works for the Springboks. We saw Handré Pollard against Australia this last weekend, and he was really, really good. Almost back to Springbok DNA rugby, and I think that's why we lost the first test match, is because we strayed away from Springbok DNA. We implementing this Tony ball, that's Tony Brown's system, and I think we overplayed it against Australia in that first test match, and I think Handré Pollard just allows us to sort of play Springbok DNA, but then also push Tony ball just a little bit. So I think Handré Pollard's going to start at 10, and I'm going to pair him up with Grant Williams at 9. I think Grant Williams is by far our best scrum off at the moment. I'm not saying Kobus Reinach and Moni van den Berg are bad scrum offs. I'm just saying Grant Williams is definitely the future in that number 9 jersey. Watch him next weekend if he starts. His box kicks are pinpoint. Absolutely pinpoint. Eben Etzebeth often gets to that ball. The wings always get to that ball. His ruck speed is super, super quick, and he can break open the line. He's quite nippy around the ruck, so he'll test the All Blacks, and he could even break the line so that we don't even have to play the back line. So I think Grant Williams and Handré Pollard is the correct 9 and 10 combination. We then look at the centres, 12 and 13. And I think you have to go Damien de Allende and Jesse Kriel. You could go Andre Esterhuizen. You could put an Ethan Hooker in there. You could put a Kane and Moody in there. But I think when you play the All Blacks at Eden Park, you want your tried and tested troops. And I think Damien de Allende and Jesse Kriel are the epitome of that in that centre combination. We then look at the wings. Now, it's Kurt Arendse and Edwin van der Merwe being out. Makazole Mapimpi's coming. Do I see Rassie Erasmus playing Ethan Hooker, Kane and Moody at wing? Probably not. I think he's going to go for Makazole Mapimpi at 11 and Cheslin Colby at 14. Makazole Mapimpi never has a bad game in a Springbok jersey, and I know I keep saying that, but it is true. I mean, he always delivers for the Springboks, and we know what type of firepower Cheslin Colby has. We then look at the 15 jersey, and this is a very hot debate at the moment, because is it Willie le Roux, is it Apelele Fassi, or is it Damian Willemse? Now, Willie le Roux was meant to start against Australia last week, and I don't think that was by mistake. Apelele Fassi ended up coming in for him because of a niggle. But I do think for the Springboks to play Springbok DNA type of rugby, they need a Willie le Roux on the pitch. Apelele Fassi on his day is brilliant. Damian Willemse on his day is brilliant. But there is something about Willie le Roux being on there with over 100 caps that just calms the guys down. There's no panic in that backline. The defense is organized. He rallies the troops. He organizes that backline. And he gives us a very good second option for that first receive. Instead of Pollard receiving it at 10, Willie le Roux often steps into that role, creates space out wide, and sends that ball. So as much as I think you guys might disagree with me on this, I do think Willie le Roux is the correct choice at 15 against the All Blacks at Eden Park. So that's my starting 15, and a very, very experienced starting 15. Probably the most inexperienced couple players on there is Volko Low, Rua Nokia, and Grant Williams. The others have kind of done it, won a couple of World Cups, been there, done it, know how to beat New Zealand, maybe not at Eden Park, but they do know how to beat New Zealand. So I think that's a very strong starting 15. We then look at the bench. And I think we have to play a 6-2 bench split. I wouldn't be surprised if Rassie goes for a 7-1 bench split, but we haven't seen it so far this season, and we haven't seen any signs of him playing a 7-1 bench split. I know he's done it in previous games against the All Blacks, and we've been successful at it. I just don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's necessary. You could throw in Archie Snyman on the bench as well and take out maybe a Sasha Fynboo and Gumba Zulu, but then you don't have that much utility in the back line, especially with the guys who are starting. So I'm going to go for a 6-2 split. Replacement hooker, I'm going to go for Marnus van der Merwe. Only because Bongi Mbonambi is not in form at the moment. Let's be frank about it. He's not in form, and I think Marnus van der Merwe, even though he's way less capped than Bongi Mbonambi, is in form, and I think he'll take that opportunity at Eden Park. I've then gone for Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Vincent Koch for the replacement props. Jan-Hendrik Wessels also gives us that little bit of versatility, utility in that hooker and prop role, and then Vincent Koch has been there and done that. I don't think he's going to play Boan Fenter. I don't think he's going to play Thomas du Toit. So I think he's going to go with Vincent Koch. I could be wrong there. I think Thomas du Toit could sneak in there, but I mean, let's see what happens. Replacement lock, I'm going to go for Loet de Jager. You could go for Archie Snyman. But I'm going to go for Loet de Jager. Experience coming off of the bench. He's also been in some really good form for the Springboks. And then obviously we've got Franco Mostert and Kwagga Smith as our replacement loosies. Franco Mostert can also play that lock position as well as the loose trio. Then our two replacement backline players, I think he's going to go the same as last week in Kobus Reinach and Sasha Fynboo and Gumba Zulu. I don't see Mani coming off the bench. I don't see Moni van den Berg coming off of the bench. And Sasha kind of provides us with that utility. He could even, instead of Sasha being there, he could play Damian Willemse because Damian does give us a whole lot of utility. But I think he's going to go with Sasha. So that's what my starting 23 for the Springboks looks like. The strongest possible starting 23 against the All Blacks at Eden Park. I cannot wait to get there. It's going to be absolutely unreal. Let me know what you guys think of the starting 23. Drop your comments down there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one when I'll be in New Zealand. Take it easy. Peace.